So what will happen to the Petrobras reserves? Not clear. Will Brazil say, the Brazilian government tell Petrobras, no, we don't want you to drill there, we have to wait until we have a better technology? Will they let them drill? Will new technologies be developed for deep water drilling that are safer, have better safeguards? You know, one of the problems with BP is that they were sloppy. So they had safeguards that weren't working. They just didn't bother to check the equipment. And, you know, they had there were these two, I forgot what they're called, but these two devices that engage when something like this happens with dead batteries that they'd never bothered to change the batteries. They wanted to save money. So they did things that they shouldn't have done in order to save money. And, you know, that spill could have been averted. We could have avoided that whole spill. So I think it comes back to the financial crisis. BP did things to save money. BP was not regulated properly. The U.S. agency, the United States government agency that was supposed to regulate BP was not doing its job. And it was very much like Lehman Brothers or AIG that should have been regulated, should not have been allowed to do what they were doing. The rating companies that were misrepresenting the ratings. So what do? So one view is we teach corporate responsibility. You know, we teach students in business school to be responsible, that we won't let these things happen. I don't think that's an answer. I think that when they go to work, and, you know, there were people at BP who complained and said, they went to the management, top management, and said, look what we're doing, this is not right. And they were told to shut up and just keep going. We have to get this done quickly. This took longer than we thought, and we have to make up the money we've lost. So I think in the end, you know, teaching social responsibility is not going to do any good. I think that what works is tough regulation. You break the rules, you know, we fine you. And you need really tough regulation. And that's what we need to prevent financial crises like the one we've had. And that's what we need to not eliminate, but reduce the possibility of the BP type of event. Now, there will still be risk. You know, there will still be, even if companies do everything they can to prevent that kind of blowout that occurred with BP, there will still be a risk of something new happening, something else happening. Well, that's part of life. I mean, that's right, there's a risk. And it's sort of like nuclear power. There are risks with nuclear power. If you want to have clean energy in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, I don't see any way to generate electricity to have if you really want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions without having nuclear power. Well, nuclear power has some risks. The biggest one is what to do with the spent fuel. What do you do with that? We don't really know. So, you know, we have to make decisions. And there's some people who would argue that we simply should stop using energy. Not stop using all energy, but use much, much less. Don't drive, don't have so many lights on here, and use much less energy. And there are other people who'd say, look, we have to take certain risks. We try to minimize those risks. You know, we go on airplanes. Airplanes crash. We take a risk. We drive cars. Very risky. There are automobile accidents. People die. So we take risks. That's part of life. And we have to try to minimize that, make it as safe as possible, but realize that we're not going to make the risks go away completely.